And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Monday Morning Golf Wrap, of course, brought to you by the Myrtle Beach Golf Authority. Again, if you're coming to the Grand Strand and looking to play golf, just stay, go on the beach, take in some of our amusement parks. Be sure to contact the Myrtle Beach Golf Authority, the wonderful people there, and we thank them for their continued sponsorship of the Monday Morning Golf Wrap. I'm George Honeycutt, and with me, as always, Mr. Hugh Rory III of the South Carolina Golf Center. Good morning, Hugh, baby.
Good morning, George.
How are you, my brother?
I'm hanging in there. Yourself?
Oh, just lovely. Lovely.
Yeah.
Beautiful weekend. I didn't get to play golf with the Saturday golf group this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Heck, I got to play golf this weekend, Jeff.
How about that?
First time in 2.5 months yesterday.
Got to give our Saturday golf group their weekly shout out. They went this week to River Oaks. They saw Scotty down at River Oaks.
Cool.
And I didn't get to join them. I had to. She who must be obeyed gave me some things to do this weekend.
You had a yard sale or something, didn't you?
Yard sale.
Yeah,
Hey,
boy.
Hugh, get this. He sits at a yard sale and signs autographs.
Yeah, no kidding. That's George's bag. That's George's bag.
Look, honey, over there's George Honeycutt. Let's get his autograph.
Yeah.
The Godfather of
And
soul.
he claimed he didn't have a Sharpie.
I didn't.
I guarantee you there were 6 in his hip pocket.
And I guarantee, if not, they were in his golf bag. That's for sure. I can promise you that.
I do mark my
Did you-
balls. Thank you.
Did you sign it, The Godfather?
No, I did not. I missed the opportunity, didn't I?
You did.
Well, I tell you what, folks, I had this yard sale, and the boys went out to River Oaks, and I want to thank Scott and everybody out there for having the group, the Saturday Golf Group. It's not exactly easy getting the Saturday Golf Group together and getting them out, and for all of them to finish. And I'll just put it that way. So, but Jeff, of course, participated again. How was the golf course, Jeff?
George, I always enjoy playing River Oaks, and a lot of the courses here this season, because we had such an unusual winter, have struggled, and you never know what to expect when you go out to a course, first time after the winter. But I was really pleasantly surprised in what kind of condition it was in. Greens roll true. The fairways in great shape. I thought the course was awesome. I love River Oaks. I love playing there.
I like the undulations on the greens.
I do too. It's different. It's so different from most of the courses you find. There's contour on almost every single green.
Right.
So it's they had the Honeycutt pin placement out there for you. So,
did they really?
Sir, by the way,
Scotty set it up, huh?
yeah. Several times where there was a cone, a knoll on the green.
Yeah.
It was on
It
top.
was right on top. Yeah.
I'm not even touching that one.
Well, Scotty refers to me as Conehead, so.
Yeah. I played with Ryan and Brendan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those guys, the younger guys.
Yeah, the young guns, yeah.
And they both agreed that was probably the Honeycutt placement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just them, too.
Yeah. But good. Hats off to Scotty and the people at River Oaks.
I want to thank Scotty for having us out there. It's always a good time with Scotty, and I understand he even took the day off. What was up with that?
He had the day off. I think his wife may have had some issues.
Oh, no.
Kidney stones or something.
Oh, goodness. Scotty's had rough health issues since the first of the year, so.
Guess who else I ran into out there?
Who else did you run into?
The man that is responsible for A.J. Sawyer, Buzz, Papa Buzz.
Papa Buzz.
Papa Buzz was out
Was
there.
Mama working?
I didn't see Mama, but Papa Buzz was out there doing a par 3 challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, he conned me out of $5.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. But
It runs in the family, doesn't it?
yeah, it runs in the family. And but the good news is I was able to take my ticket in and get a hot dog and a bag of chips with it.
Cool.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, River Oaks has that great little veranda patio type environment out the back there. It's shaded well. They got 3 9-holes there: the Fox, the Otter, and the Bear.
Yep.
The Bear 9. That's a tough 9 to play. I think our own Dave inside here played the Bear on Saturday, and I hear he did pretty good on the Fox side, but then got to the Bear and. The wheels not only fell off, but the back axle came out of the vehicle.
I think he said he shot a 37-49, 37 Fox and 49.
Yeah.
Sound like John Daly this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks to Scott and everybody out at River Oaks for having the Saturday Golf Group. This week, we're headed to Aberdeen. So we'll be heading up on north on Route 9. And we'll be taking in one of the Myrtle Beach National Courses, Aberdeen, up there. And, of course, we'll give you an update on that. And shortly after the Aberdeen round this Saturday, we're having the birthday parties. So that'll be a lot of fun up at Dr. Pellstring's house.
Yeah, they all have a good time with that.
Doc Pellstring just sent me a text saying he has the pool and the jacuzzi heated up. So it's time to just drag out the thong.
Oh gosh, that's just, folks. I was hanging in there with this rough morning I've had so far, and then George had to just put that picture in my brain, and I'm fried.
That's all right. You can think about it all week.
That's
baby.
a buzzkill and a half.
Oh
man.
my god!
And then you can come see it on Saturday night. I may even sell tickets, so who knows? Again, Monday morning golf wrap, and we got to get everybody caught up. And what an interesting weekend it has been in the professional ranks of golf, to the point where we saw an absolute run and hide winner on the LPGA Tour. I mean, run and hide. 6 shots.
I mean, we've actually been kind of talking about about us waiting for this to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
she's been awful close all year, really, and she finally put it all together, and it was scary.
Well, we'll catch everybody up on who we mean by that, and of course, on the PGA Tour, we saw kind of a player that we always look at to say, well, let's see, he's one of the longest hitters on tour. He's got a great short game. He can putt when he gets hot, and it's just a matter of time. And this guy does have the capability of 5, 6, 7 wins during a PGA Tour career. Mm-hmm. He ends up this weekend, although he had a little falling back coming down the stretch, but he ends up winning the event. So, and we're talking about J.B. Holmes there.
Probably one of the greatest comebacks from a physical issue in a long, long time that we've heard of, too, though. You got to give him credit there with what he did.
Well, then, or Ben Martin, or some of the others that have, really, really, health-wise, really been devastated through the years.
Oh, so. Absolutely. But you're looking at a young man that had brain surgery, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And to come back and to recoup and do what he did this weekend was, it was very inspiring and very nice to see.
Also, too, I asked Hugh before we came on the air here, and he wasn't. Folks, Hugh spent 13 hours on the tee box teaching Saturday, so it was kind of tough for him to even wake up yesterday, much less catch some early golf coming out of Singapore. But we'll start our show today at the Singapore event that was the European Tour. And I saw a round of golf yesterday that it's been a long time since I've seen something like this. But Felipe Aguilar ends up his name is Philippe. Philippe Aguilar ends up winning this thing at the Laguna National from Anders Hansen. He ends up pulling this out. Anders ends up finishing second. But Philippe ends up at 22 under par. But, folks, he wins by 1, but it's not so much the way he finished and winning by 1, but how he got there. Philippe ends up making a birdie putt on 17, and then he makes a chip-in eagle on 18 to shoot 28 on the back 9 on Sunday at a professional event. That's impressive.
Now, that's just called unbelievable.
Well, it's
impressive, yes, but unbelievable to shoot 28. I mean, you think about that score.
Well, it gave him a closing 62.
You're talking 8 under par.
Closing 62 to finish at 22 under and win the event over David Lipsky. And then also David's from the U.S., of course, at 21 under. And then Anders Hansen at 21 under also. They both tied for second. But, I mean, to basically be not at the rear of the pack, but coming from the middle of the pack and shooting 28, and then just taking everybody else was just trying to catch up. And, of course, nobody was able to. So Philippe gets his first PGA Tour, European Tour event. And it's not PGA Tour, it's European Tour event.
PGA.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. I'll stand corrected on that.
That's all right.
And, it's been over 5 years. He's been out there on the tour, so good for him. It's just, but how impressive. It was just, I sat and watched the round, Hugh, and you're sitting there watching him, and the hole looked like it was 4 feet in diameter on the back 9 for him. I mean, he was making them from everywhere, and then he makes the 10-footer on 17, and you're going, wow, okay, he's got a really good round going. And then he hits his approach shot on 18 from the fairway, and it goes in the hole, and you're just going, remarkable. It was impressive.
That's just one of those old dumb sayings, George. When it's your time, it's your time.
It is. It's exactly right. And when all those chips start falling in the perfect spot, you can't help but get out of the way.
I agree. I agree. I just say to shoot 28 to me is just mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling, but congratulations to Philippe. And again, this is in over 5 years his tour win in 5 years. So congratulations to him. And again, this will move him about 130 spots up the world ranking. So that'll be great for him.
Jump.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good. That's better jump than what he did in the tournament.
Right. Well, and again, let's talk about jumps in world ranking. J.B. Holmes, again, who wins the PGA Tour event this weekend, and he jumped about 130 spots. So he's now 68th in the world rankings, and so he makes a couple more good finishes, and that's going to move him into some prioritization, let's say, on that. Of course, with his win now, he's in the winners category as far as his status on the PGA Tour.
Gives him a 2-year exemption, but he moved up 65 spots just in the FedEx Cups alone.
That's right.
So that that's a huge. This win was huge for this young man.
Well, it was, and again, he was actually going to take this week off for the players because he had not qualified.
Yeah.
And now he is qualified for the Players' Championship coming up this week at TPC Sawgrass, and we'll go into more of that at the end of the show. So, again, congratulations to J.B. Holmes. It was an interesting tournament to watch at the Wells Fargo Championship, of course, coming out of Charlotte, and it was interesting in the fact that, first off, I want to congratulate the Quail Hollow membership and their Greens Committee and
their superintendent. That golf course looked absolutely perfect.
Phenomenal.
I mean, perfect. Last year, they had the little iffiness with the greens. Well, they had the greens
issues like we're going to see this week at Sawgrass.
And I'm telling you, that Quail Hollow this year was on television. You could not have asked for a better picturesque view.
The players were just ranting and raving about this golf course, and a lot of it had to do with the Champion Bermuda greens. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it had to do with the, roughly, I understand, they took out over 2,000 trees in order to help of course, this air circulation and the shadowing.
Sunlight,
get more sunlight on a lot of the green surfaces. And another thing, too, Hugh, that I noted in my notes, and I know you probably picked up on it, too, is they radically changed 16.
Yes.
And by them, what I mean by radically changed is they lengthened the hole to begin with, but then they moved the green literally left by almost 80 yards and moved it over there by the pre-existing water. And the way they did this is they actually brought in dredgers and they brought in backhoes and they built the land extension, the land mass for the new green. And then they took a quote-unquote where the previous green used to be, then they moved the tee box or the rear tournament tees back to where the old green used to be, and for 17. Of course, the par 3 that, again, played very stout throughout the entire event.
That's one of the best finishing par 3s around.
Well, the first couple of days, they had it up at what I would say is the member tees, and which I really didn't understand that, Hugh. I didn't understand if they were just trying to give them a little, the Green Mile, is known as probably one of the harder 3 finishing holes on the tour. But Thursday and Friday, they had them playing from about 175 to 182 yards. And I didn't understand that. I mean, this hole really routinely plays from 225 to 232.
Yeah, and a lot of it is based on pin position, too, George. I mean, the tour is pretty good, and I'll give them credit. It's the rules guys on the PGA Tour. With pin placements, they adjust tee placements, so it's not ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's where it gives you an opportunity, but yet it can still be a difficult.
But did some of it, Hugh? And I asked this as an amateur player. Did some of it have to do also? They weren't quite sure how the greens were going to receive the shots.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Is that right?
I can promise you that came into their mind. They want to make it difficult, folks, but they also want to make it to where it's playable. And you get back at about 230. And those greens are hard and firm. These guys are hitting long irons, and you've got water everywhere. It's not a very fair,
Right. Right. I mean, you do have the opportunity of separating those that are able to hit the ball high and bring it down with less spin or more spin, however you want to look at it. But versus those guys that take a lower trajectory and subsequently would get that big kick off that first bounce. That's a way of doing it. But however, I just thought Thursday and Friday, they really took some of the teeth out of those last three finishing holes by moving 17 up, because 16, I mean, yesterday I believe they only had 2 birdies the entire day of the entire field that made the cut. They only had 2 birdies on 16. And so that talked highly of that refurbishment, the redesign of that par 4. And it was kind of interesting to watch them play it, because they resloped the fairway.
Yeah.
They left the trees down the left-hand side. Now, they did place that bunker out on the right-hand side, but the players just didn't even seem to even pay attention to the bunker. Those that did get into it, I noticed on Saturday, a couple of players hit into there. Now, that does change the hole. It turns it into basically a par 5 if you get in that bunker. You're going to go ahead and just play for bogey and get the heck out of there. But if you're able to catch the right middle of that fairway, you get a big slingshot effect going down that hill. And, I mean, J.B. Holmes yesterday, I mean, some of the older golf commentators were talking like, oh, I remember I played this and I hit driver, 5-iron. Well, the hole back then was 50 yards shorter.
Yeah, it
if
might have
not
been
70 yards.
440.
Yeah. And then now it's playing at 501, and plus 2 now, like J.B. Holmes yesterday hit driver wedge. And so it just, is that technology? Is that strength? Is that, the physical attributes?
It's all the above.
And then plus 2, he was really driving the ball well all week. And so thusly, he was able to dissect Quail Hollow in its newfound length, in its newfound, how severe it is. It can be severe. I love the way that they use the primary rough. I love the way that they shave down the fairways. And if you hit certain pockets of hot spots in these fairways, you get a huge advantage. I mean, Bud, I was seeing balls roll 30, 40, 50 yards with good drives if they hit that hot spot. If they didn't, then, you'd literally see a Walmart parking lot between 2 or 3 competitors in the same group.
I agree. I mean, but again, it goes back to, you talking about the shape of the golf course and how they set this up. I mean, you look at one of my favorite players and one of my good friends. I mean, he goes out and shoots 65 yesterday and finishes second.
I know.
And very easily could have caught Holmes.
If you had not been following it on during the coverage yesterday, if you were late turning on your TV to catch, who's the lead or whatever, you sat there and looked at Furyk, who was done very early. He was done almost 3 hours before the final groups came in. And, you're sitting there going, my goodness, Jim is just making a statement. 65 on Sunday, when some of those pin placements, Bud, were pretty difficult, but he had a chip in, and that really sparked him on. And I loved his response to that chip in. I mean, he was really focused, and he knew that he could probably post a good number and make a run for this thing, because he starts the day several shots back from the lead.
I mean, he starts the day at 6 under par.
Yeah.
And you look at Holmes, he shot 6 under in the third round.
That's true. That's true.
So, I mean, he's sitting there at 13 under par starting the day.
Let's recap real quick, Hugh. J.B. Holmes, he ends up winning the event, $1.242 million. Of course, he gets 500 FedEx Cup points. His rounds, 70, 67, 66, 71, solid play, 274. Jim Furyk starts on Thursday with a 72, then 69, 69, 65. And as you're the playing professional, I'm not. I mean, these numbers, if you take 2-day totals and add them up, that's my normal 1-day score. But, just the 69, 69, 65 for Furyk, that 65 between that 71, that's a big mountain. 6 shots is a big mountain.
That's a big mountain. And I tell you what, you look at all the people, Justin Rose played a solid 4 rounds of golf, a little weak on the weekend, but played solid. But kudos have got to go out to a young man that He's like my little brother, George. I mean, I've known Kevin Kisner since he was probably about 8 years old. He lived right down the street from me in Aiken when I was on the tour. He used to come, knew the code to my garage because his dad would do work on my house because his father was a big contractor in Aiken. And, he'd come get golf clubs, and if I needed it, I'd go down there and just give him something else and get it back.
Right.
So I've known Kevin a long time, very close to their family. And, he struggled the last couple of years. And to see him go out and be in the next to last group with Mickelson yesterday, he shoots
Right.
one over, was one over early and kept it there and ended up finishing tied for 6th for his best finish on the PGA Tour. And
I kind of felt bad for him, Hugh. I know your background with him, and you've mentioned him several times before, and I was watching him with Phil, and Phil didn't have a good day at all. Phil, for the first 3 days
shot
of the
76.
the first 3 days of the event, Phil looked like he was. I made the comment to She Who Must Be Obeyed Saturday that it looks like Phil's going to run away and hide. Mm-hmm. He was literally playing that strong, and then he comes out on Sunday, and I don't know whether he's getting tired. I don't know if he loses focus. I'm not quite sure what it is, but yesterday he again. He looked like he couldn't find a pickle in the middle of a full barrel.
Yeah.
And so
I agree.
I don't know if that had to do. Kevin, you saw Kevin really trying to make a charge, and then he's waiting on Phil to do this, or he's waiting on Phil. I don't know. So I just don't know if they didn't kind of spun off one another and kind of caused.
Probably not. Kevin's, he's one of those that, he's serious. He's a good kid. He just, he's a great talent. And, just the fact that he went out and played a solid final round, even though it was 73, 1 over par, and finished tied for 6, that's $239,000 I think he made. And he and Brittany getting ready to have their first child. And it's a big week, and I was just glad to see him go out.
What about Martin Flores, bud?
Oh, no kidding.
What about Martin Flores?
He moved up more than anybody on the board, 48. Other than J.B. Holmes, he moved up 48 points in the FedEx Cup point.
Martin just, everybody saw him shoot 67 on Thursday, and they're going, okay, well, that's great, man. Here's a journeyman that's, it seems like you've never seen him before. It's like my dad's made the statement, goes, who is he? Did he just get on the tour? And, and then he goes out, and on Friday, he shoots 68. Then he shoots 69, and he's at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah. And here's the scary part, it's like they say, though, it's like, Saturday they ran the Kentucky Derby. Yeah. He got out of the gate fast, and he made it to turn 3, but then it was, oh, well.
Well, he just, he did.
Hanging on.
He ends up shooting 72 on Sunday, so it's not exactly like he blew it up.
He didn't fade.
But he just couldn't get anything going. Yeah. Where, exactly. On Saturday, he made a couple of putts, a 20-footer and a 30-footer that, you just saw it just pumping back up, to where he goes, oh, I can't get nothing going. Then, boom, he drains one, and now he's up there again. And it's so much fun at the Wells Fargo because the greens were so perfect. They weren't super quick like we talked about last week in the Pro Golf Talk.
Yeah.
But they kept them under control, but they were just healthy. They were hardly seeing any ball marks on the greens. They were noting Thursday and Friday there was no spike marks.
Yeah.
That blew them away. When Mickelson himself, who's notoriously a spike wearer, that when he makes the comments that there weren't any spikes, then that tells me the greens are they were perfect.
They were healthy, yes, absolutely.
So you mentioned Jason Bone. I want to bring his name up. He starts off with a 73, but then he goes 67, 67, 70 to finish at 277. He captures $330,000. Justin Rose, another check of him, $275,000 like he needs it. Brandon DeYoung had a great week, and what propelled him, he starts off, Hugh, Brandon DeYoung shoots 80 on day one. 80, and then turns around and shoots 62 on day 2.
And he had his bags packed, ready to go home.
18 strokes better.
Shoots 62, shoots 10 under par.
80, 62.
And then you look at him,
that sounds like Dave's front 9 and back 9.
or just regular round of golf.
Oh, me. Brandon DeYoung, of course, makes a name for himself at the President's Cup. Everybody kind of gets to know the name and all. And the young man can play.
Oh, Brennan's not only can he play, he is an absolute gentleman. One of the nicest, most polite people you'll ever be around. And to see him make a turnaround, and they looked. The funny part was when they interviewed him after the 62, and he's like, I really don't know what to say. It just kind of happened.
Right.
You know, he's like, I don't know.
And, we mentioned Mickelson, Hugh. Again, Mickelson has one of those roller coaster rounds. He starts off Thursday with a 67, and then he has 75 on Friday, and you're going, oh, okay, well, he's back to earth now. And then he goes out and shoots 63 on Saturday. And you're going, holy crap, he's going to run away with this thing. If you just catch it late in the coverage, I was listening to it on the radio, that you're going, wow. I mean, Phil could literally separate himself by 3 or 4 shots. And then he goes out and, of course, shoots 76 on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so, again, bringing himself back down to realisms. Finishing at 281, he picks up $158,000 and 65 FedEx Cup points. So several other players, I think, really used the Wells Fargo Hugh as the springboard. It was good to see Jeff Ogilvy go out and have a decent tournament.
It is. I keep waiting for him to bounce back, and I just, from the U.S. Open to now, it makes you wonder, what happened.
Well,
the guy's got a great game.
He's got a great game. He's got a great demeanor. He doesn't get really up or down too heavily in one way or the other. He's just steady Eddie. He's a real straight ball striker. He doesn't move the ball a lot. He doesn't do the creative shot patterns that so many of the pros nowadays get a kick out of, where they should just be focusing on hitting the ball straight. Yeah. But again, Jeff Ogilvy has a good tournament. He shoots 72, 67, 70, 73 for 282. He ends up roughly 6 shots behind the leaders, 8 shots behind the leaders, excuse me, folks, but picks up $120,000. And for Jeff, that's a check that he needed. So, again, he gets tied for 14th. Kevin Streelman, he ties with Kevin for 14th place. And then, as we'll talk about here in a few minutes, one of the players that I've got on my watch for list for the Players' Championship this week, we'll bring him up in a minute. But Hugh, before we get into our forecast for the players, let's talk a little bit about the women. We mentioned this young lady. She goes out. She is from Woodlands, Texas, and she goes out this weekend at the LPGA event and absolutely runs away with the show by winning in 6 shots fashion. Miss Stacy Lewis picks up her first win of 2014.
And I tell you what, the score she shot around Las Colinas, that is a heck of a score.
Heck of a score, 7 under 64.
That's where they're going to play the Byron Nelson later on.
Right.
that golf course, it's not easy, and especially with the wind blowing.
She made it look easy.
I know she did, but we've talked about her for the last, month and a half, because she finishes second. She'll finish third. She's right there. She hasn't won. She hasn't been able to close the deal.
Right.
Well, she just shut you and I up something fierce, because she just closed the deal.
Yeah. I watched some of the coverage yesterday, and it's when she got up on 16 and pulled out a 3-wood, and they were talking about a water hazard that was up the fairway, and about how some of the other players were getting to the water hazard with drivers. The water hazard was 314 yards starting from the edge of the tee box. So figure with the markers moved back, so figure 320, 323 that began the water hazard from the tee box. She hit 3-wood, and it goes into the water hazard. So she hit a 3-wood, 320 plus yards.
That'd be 14, wouldn't it?
Was it 4? I thought it was 16.
Down the hill.
Yeah, it's downhill.
With
that's
the green
right.
that sits out in that. That's
right.
14.
I apologize.
16's a par 5
par 5 up the hill. Yeah. So 14, she gets up with the 3-wood thinking that that's a good club, that she would be able to lay just short of the water hazard. No, it goes dead into the middle of it. So, I mean, she's sitting here bumping 3-woods, 320.
Oh, well. And, it is downhill, but that's impressive.
Oh, yeah, that's impressive.
You talk about a difficult tee shot now. That hole right there. Because, see, if you hit it anywhere towards the right center in the right rough, you've got no shot. Because there's trees that come out where that creek comes through there and feeds into the lake. And then you got a green that sits cockeyed right out there in the middle of the water. It's just a hard hole.
But, I mean, it was just like yesterday, you're sitting there going, oh, she's throwing it into the water. And at the time, she had a 5-shot lead. And so she's throwing it into the water, and you go, oh, well, somebody's going to push her. Never did. She just threw it up there, made bogey, and went on and just annihilated the field. I think what really sparked her on, she birdies 5, but then she finishes the front 7 she eagles, 8 she birdies, 9 she birdies.
Wow.
So, and then she makes the turn and then birdies 10. And so,
Yeah, I can see birdie in 10. 10's not a hard hole.
Right. So, again, with the eagle and the birdie, she just kind of separates herself. Yeah. And so she ends up winning by 6 shots over Mina Lee from South Korea. But for Stacy, this is her 7th win on the LPGA Tour, her first in 2014. And as Hugh stated, and so eloquently stated, we have sat here and talked off camera quite a few times about her, and it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, she was due, and then when she proved her point, she just went ahead and drove the nail in the coffin. That was it.
Well, congratulations to her. I think it's a wonderful win for her. Again, she's from Woodlands, Texas, so she had several family members there. She had a coach there. So it was right in her backyard at the North Texas LPGA Shootout, presented by JTBZ, and so I want to congratulate her for that, and one that's been long overdue. Yes. So, and again, her name is always put up there with the others, the Suzanne Pattersons. Of course, now Michelle Wee, another good tournament for Michelle Wee.
Top 10.
As much as it makes me, almost,
I know.
Yeah, nauseated to say, but I have to hand it to Michelle. She's had a spectacular year. She's had the year this year, Hugh, that she's always been forecasted to have since she came out on the tour.
And I think it's just taken a while for her to kind of separate herself, grow up a little bit, and become her own person, and she's shown it. But
maybe so. And the putting stroke, as ugly as it may be,
it works.
It works. So she seems comfortable over it now. She seems like she stands confident when she looks at a line and the speed, and she's able to execute and pull that off. And Michelle's striking probably her short irons and her mid irons as well as I've seen anybody strike on the LPGA Tour in quite some time.
I agree with you 100%. I tell you what, and then you go on and you go a little south of there and go down to Houston, to the Woodlands, Texas, and at the one golf course I hate more than anything, but the TPC at the Woodlands Country Club.
Yep.
And old Barnyard just comes out and wins again.
Well, Freddie made a charge at him.
He did, but I'm telling you, the guy he's Iron Man.
He is.
Bernhard Langer is Iron Man. It is ridiculous how resilient and how he just keeps going the direction he goes.
It's interesting. If you are a true avid lover of the game of golf, like we are, but you get into the finesse, the course management, the intelligence behind the game, shot, as far as shot consistency, staying away from trouble, just making good solid putts, playing your putts for speed versus, ended up with 3-putt situations. Just watch Bernhard Langer play golf. That's all you got to do. Just go, Hugh often talks about you can learn so much from the LPGA. As a matter of fact, I was out to dinner this weekend and the LPGA was on one of the television screens inside this restaurant. And, of course, all the other sports were on all the others. But I'm sitting there watching, breaking my neck to see the LPGA, and this guy behind me goes, are you watching the women? And I said, absolutely. I said, when the women are on TV, I learn. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah, I learn how to play golf by watching the women. Bernhard, you just learn how to play golf by watching him.
Yeah, the guy doesn't make mistakes. I mean, he may hit it offline, whatever, but he does.
Well, he hit it offline on the par 3, puts it in the bunker, and you're thinking, he's going to come back to the field. And
16.
Well, yeah, 16. And Freddie was making a move, and they were trying to help Colin Montgomery help a move, but Colin played a good round. He played a good series. He played a good event. But again, Freddie was the only one really making a charge, and Bernhard just popped it out of there, and he makes a spectacular putt. And he just comes down the stretch and just closes the door. I mean, what is this? His 12,000th win on the Champions Tour?
His 20th, I think, is what it was.
He's won like $74 million, I mean, it's something
he's
ridiculous.
won 20. I know this one was his 20th win, which put him in the record book. But
Hall of Famer.
I apologize, George. I really do, and to our viewers, I'm sorry, but this is the Seinfeld episode. They need to bring it back for Colin Montgomery and just get him the man's ear, because it's getting old.
That wasn't nice, Hugh.
But I mean, really.
Colin's changed his personality. He's changed his approach to the U.S. market. He's changed his approach to the U.S. game. And so,
I'm sorry, I still don't like him.
Okay, well, I think he's made the differences. It's like Sergio. He's made a change. And so I think that's only good for the game, and good for him for doing that and for joining the Champions Tour and for moving on. And I enjoy when he commentates. So, we'll move on from there.
We'll move on.
Okay. All right. Before we leave you real quick, I wanted to, this week is of course, the Players Championship, the unrecognized, the unofficial fifth major on the PGA Tour. And of course, folks, if you don't know the background to the PGA Championship or the PGA Players The Players Championship, thank you, buddy, is this championship belongs to the players.
It's the TPC, Tournament Players Championship.
This belongs, they basically pony up the money, they own the golf course, so this is basically the tour's championship. This is how they look at it. And 144 players will tee off this Thursday. And as we announced last week, they're having some problems with the golf course, and specifically the greens. There's 4 to 5 greens that are definitely hurt.
I got the scoop there were 5. They played on 5 temporaries for almost 2 months.
Okay. So, again, they're out this morning, and there was even question of whether they would allow them on those greens today for the practice rounds going off this morning. Patrick Reed was out early this morning on the driving range. He was getting some work in. Of course, several of the newbies that are to the Tournament of Players Championship, they're out there getting their work in early to see the golf course. So, but what I wanted to do real quick for our watchers and our listeners here on thegolfdirector.com is to let's throw out some forecast picks for, of course, we can cover these again on Thursday, but again, the event will have already started, but I wanted to kind of put together our top 4 picks for this tournament. So I'll give you mine, okay? That way you can adjust. You started last time, so I'll start first this time.
That's fine.
And you know where I'm going to go.
I just saw your list.
You saw my list?
Yeah.
Okay, first on my list is one of your picks, and that's Jim Furyk.
Because he lives there and he's one of good friends.
It's his backyard.
And he's playing great golf, yes.
It's his backyard.
I agree.
No one knows the golf course better than him.
Nah, other than VJ, no.
Well, yeah.
But VJ's not playing. So.
But I won't even put VJ in the discussions,
I know.
even if he was playing. Second on my list, Zach Johnson.
Good pick. Not long.
Mr. Consistency. Yeah. He's going to dink and donk his way around the golf course. Even on 16, he's going to lay up. He's going to throw that wedge in. And if Zach gets that Seymour putter going, then nobody can beat him.
If his short game's dialed in, he's going to be a tough one. That's a decent pick.
Yep. Third pick is Matt Kuchar. Again, Matt is having a good 2014. He had one bad shot that cost him a tournament in Florida, and then 2 weeks later, another just last-minute bad shot that cost him another tournament in Florida. So he had a wonderful Florida swing. He likes Florida golf. He likes the grasses. He lives at Sea Island, so he's familiar with the rough. He's familiar with the Bermuda greens. So, again, I think Matt's a good choice for this. I think he's a good choice to stay even-keeled all the way down through 4 days and become the champion.
As an odds maker, I would say you've made a pretty good choice there.
My fourth pick is I'm going to have to stay with Rory McIlroy. I mean, I'm waiting for the really high-seeded player to come back into the mix on Sundays here. We've seen so much for this year to where, you know, if you're not 230th in the world rankings, you're not going to be at the top of the leaderboard after Saturday at these golf tournaments. Speaking about, Flores or whoever it may be that comes up, or J.B. Holmes even. So I'm going to say Rory this is probably an opportunity for him not to pick up a major again. It's the unidentified fifth major, but I see him as a good possible choice. He's been really kind of honing in all the different levels. If he keeps the driver in the bag and plays his fairway metals off the tee boxes and he gets the putter rolling pretty good, he's had some problems with putting over the last couple of weeks, but he seems to be getting it back online after Dave Stockton has helped him out a little bit. So I think Rory's a solid pick there. And then my long dark horse, my long shot. This one's a long shot. He's number 5 in the world in his mind, folks, Mr. Patrick Reed. So I'm going to say that Patrick makes a good showing this week to again prove that he should be number 5 in the world. So I'll let you go now. We'll go through your names.
Okay. I agree with two of your picks.
Okay.
I think 2 of them, no snowball's chance. I think right now you'll see Rory McIlroy up there with a chance to run at it, and I see him make the mistakes he's made in the past where he gets out of control and he hits it offline and makes a big number.
Okay.
So mine, obviously, Jim Furyk.
Okay.
All right, that's just a given. Everybody knows that's what I pick every time because my buddy's always there when the major stuff's on the line. I mean, he always is. My second pick is Justin Rose. I think he's playing very solid. I think he's one of those, if he doesn't get out there and get locked up as far as his routine and whatnot, and he goes out and plays and gets in a flow, I think he's got a very, very good chance to win this. He's got the resilience in the mind to keep himself in the game. Okay? My third pick is Luke Donald. Because he's actually playing pretty solid.
Okay.
All right.
Hold on, I had a hairball.
That's all right. My fourth pick is Brandt Snedeker.
Oof.
I got a funny feeling about this one. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me how it's one of those. Watched him play, a week or so ago.
Well, I really thought you would
have went. He didn't play this past week.
I thought you'd went Henrik Stenson. I really thought you would gone Stenson.
No. I think, I know Snedeker's been at home at Sea Island all week, been playing and practicing every day, and I think he's going to be.
You don't think his putting stroke is going to be detrimental to him on these questionable greens?
If anything, it's going to help.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, it's like playing the Plinko board and the price is right anyway.
Hold on. You're right. It's the Plinko board. So I would have taken Sneds over Luke Donald. Yeah. I mean, Luke's a consistent hitter, but boy, when he gets squirrely with that driver, dude.
Yeah, but here's the thing: the guy never makes anything. The greens suck,
and he has to hit driver.
And the greens are terrible. This gives him a shot.
He is one of the better short game players on the tour. He's not the best, but he's one of the better ones. And he is one of the better sand players on the tour.
And the greens aren't good, and he's not known as one of the better putters. So guess what? The Plinko board might give him a break here and there.
Okay.
You never know.
All right. Who's your dark horse?
I got one better than you.
No, you don't.
Oh, you want to bet?
Okay.
Pat Perez.
Holy shit.
Did I tell you I didn't have a better one? The guy's played good for the last 3 months, dude.
I got to remember how to spell his name.
Pat has played good for the last 3 months.
Now, this tournament's 4 days, right? Not 3 days.
I understand.
You do realize that.
I understand that.
Okay, just checking.
I'm just telling you, you wanted a dark horse? That's a guy right there that's got the game and got the cojones to win this thing.
Yeah, well, he's a 3-legged horse. So, folks, I want you to go to thegolfdirector.com. You can chat with us. You can get in contact with our vacation department, our package department. But, let us know your picks. Let us know what you think about our picks. And we, of course, will follow up on all these picks coming up this Thursday. We've got the round table. We've got Tech Talk. We've got Pro Golf Talk Live. We got all kind of stuff going on later this week here on thegolfdirector.com. So Hugh's got to go out and get his homework done and get all his research completed so we can come back and see you, of course, later this week. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today on the Monday Morning Golf Wrap, of course, brought to you by the Myrtle Beach Golf Authority. And we want to thank Kathy and the wonderful people over there for continuing their sponsorship of our show here. So, again, go to thegolfdirector.com. You get radio, you get TV, you get golf communication, information, everything you want is at thegolfdirector.com. For my bro, Hugh Roy III, I'm George Honeycutt, and thanks so much for joining us here on thegolfdirector.com, brought to you by the Zeus Radio Network.